My name is Ethan Walker. In 2018, my life ended in a single second. At least that's how it felt. I used to believe I was invincible, one of those people who thought hard work and adrenaline could bend the universe to their will. I was 27, a freelance adventure photographer, and my entire identity revolved around one thing: movement. I chased storms, climbed cliffs, crossed frozen lakes. The world to me was meant to be captured, one frame at a time. That winter, I got the call of a lifetime. A magazine wanted a feature on winter mountaineering in Colorado. For most people, that sounded like madness. For me, it was home. I packed my camera, my ropes, my ego, and left New York without saying goodbye to anyone except Samantha, my girlfriend. She'd smiled at me that morning, though her eyes were sad. "You always leave," she said quietly. "Just promise you'll come back." And I had laughed, kissed her forehead, and said, "Always." If I'd known what that trip would cost me, I would have stayed. The mountain was cruel that day. Snow fell sideways, stinging my face. My guide, Mark, kept telling me we should turn back. But I was stubborn. I wanted one last shot, one perfect frame of the sunrise breaking over the frozen valley. So I climbed ahead, set my tripod, leaned forward, and the ice beneath my left boot cracked. For a split second, I thought it was nothing. Then the world dropped out from under me. I remember the sound of the camera hitting the rocks before I did. Then pain, white, blinding pain that swallowed everything. When I woke up, there was only silence and snow. I couldn't feel my legs, I couldn't move. And as I lay there, my breath fogging the air, one thought kept looping in my mind: this can't be how it ends. Mark found me half an hour later and called for rescue. They airlifted me off that mountain, but when I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed. Tubes in my chest, a brace around my neck, the smell of disinfectant thick in the air. The doctor stood beside me. His eyes were kind, but his words cut through me like a blade. "Ethan, the fall fractured your spine. We've stabilized you, but the damage is severe. I'm sorry, you won't be able to walk again." I don't remember what I said. I think I laughed. It was a dry, broken sound. The kind of laugh that comes when your brain refuses to process what it's hearing. He repeated it, slower this time, as if saying it gently would make it hurt less. But it didn't. Nothing could. The first few weeks were a blur. Pain, pity, people whispering around me as if I'd already died. Samantha came every day, trying to stay cheerful, but I saw the tears she fought to hide. When the nurses left, I turned my face to the wall and pretend to sleep so I wouldn't have to see her break. I was angry at everyone, the doctors, the mountain, even her. But mostly I was angry at myself. I had built my entire life on movement, and now I was trapped in stillness. They moved me to a rehab center in Denver after a month. It was supposed to help me adjust. Instead, it just reminded me of everything I'd lost. I refused therapy. I refused visitors. I spent hours staring out the window, watching people walk down the street like it was the easiest thing in the world. Sometimes I'd close my eyes and imagine it. One step, just one, but it never came. The night Samantha left was the lowest point. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just sat by my bed and whispered, "I love you, Ethan, but I can't do this if you've already given up." Then she kissed my forehead and walked away. I didn't stop her. I didn't even call her name. I just lay there in the dark, listening to the sound of her footsteps fade. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly alone. For weeks after that, I barely ate. I avoided mirrors. I even stopped talking to my mother on the phone. I thought about ending it all more times than I'll ever admit. The idea of dying didn't scare me. The idea of living like that did. Then one afternoon, something strange happened. I was sitting in the therapy hall. Not because I wanted to, but because the nurses willed me there out of routine. Across the room, there was this teenage girl painting. She had no use of her arms. The brush was in her mouth. I watched her for a while, annoyed at first because she was smiling. Smiling, as if she didn't realize how broken life could be. When she finished, she wheeled over and glanced at me. "You're the photographer, right? The guy who fell off the mountain?" I nodded quietly. She grinned. "You're lucky." I frowned. "Lucky?" She shrugged. "At least you got to walk once." Then she rolled away, humming to herself, and for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about her words. That night I couldn't sleep. Her sentence played in my head like a haunting refrain. "At least you got to walk once." The next morning I went looking for her. Her name was Chloe, 16, paralyzed from birth. She told me she painted what she imagined walking might feel like: the rush of color, the wind, the rhythm of freedom. We started talking every day. She was funny, brutally honest, and far wiser than I was. One day she asked, "Why'd you stop taking pictures?" I told her the truth, that it felt pointless. She smiled. "Maybe you were never meant to take pictures of mountains, Ethan. Maybe you were meant to show people how to climb their own." That hit me harder than any therapy session ever did. That night I took out my camera again. My hands shook, but when I looked through the lens and focused on the faces of people fighting to heal, I saw beauty again. Not the kind I used to chase, but something purer. Hope. I started documenting everything inside the rehab center. The laughter, the frustration, the triumphs. I uploaded the photos online, and people started to notice. Comments poured in from strangers saying the pictures made them cry, made them grateful, made them want to try harder. Slowly, something inside me shifted. I stopped seeing myself as broken. Months passed. Therapy sessions got longer. I pushed harder. I fell over and over. But every time I fell, I remembered Chloe's smile. The first time I managed to twitch my right foot, my therapist screamed. I cried like a child. It wasn't much, just a flicker. But to me, it was proof that miracles didn't always come in lightning bolts. Sometimes they came in inches. A year later, I took my first steps with braces and a cane. I filmed it, not for show, but as a promise to myself that I'd never forget that moment. Samantha came to see me that day. I hadn't spoken to her in months. She stood in the doorway, tears running down her cheeks, whispering, "You did it." I smiled. "No," I said softly. "We did." That same year, I launched the Second Step Project, a nonprofit that raises money for spinal rehab centers. We use photography exhibitions to tell stories of recovery and resilience. It started small, then the photos went viral. Within a year, we were funding therapy programs across 3 states. The biggest night of my life was the opening of our first major exhibit in New York. The hall was packed: journalists, donors, patients, and families. I walked slowly onto the stage, every step deliberate, my cane tapping against the floor. The room went silent. Cameras flashed. I looked at the crowd and said, "They told me I'd never walk again." But walking isn't about legs. It's about courage. It's about standing up when life breaks you, again and again, until you can look your pain in the eye and say, "You don't own me anymore." People stood. They clapped. Some cried. But all I could think about was that mountain, that cold morning, and the life I thought I'd lost. Sometimes late at night, I still dream about the fall. I still wake up sweating, heart pounding. But now I don't see it as the end. I see it as the moment I was forced to stop running so I could finally learn what truly matters. Chloe still paints. Her latest piece hangs in my studio. It's a man standing at the edge of a cliff, camera in hand, looking at a sunrise. Underneath it, she wrote, "He can't walk far, but he can see forever. I look at it every day before I leave. My name is Ethan Walker. They told me I'd never walk again. They were wrong, because sometimes walking isn't about moving your feet. It's about finding your way back to yourself. You've come this far. Don't stop here. Hit subscribe and join a community that believes in second chances and real stories.